Well, hello everyone, it's your boy Jordy Jordan, and I want to welcome you back to my video. World War II trailer finally came out, my bad, sorry. And people have been asking me on Twitter and some of my live streams if I can make a video talking about what I thought about it itself. So, I went and watched a couple videos. I watched Hutch Is Your Daddy, I watched Ali A, and I also watched Drifter. All three of these gentlemen put up some raw gameplay footage on their channel that they recorded, and I'm going to basically base my opinions on those themselves. And I'm going to start with the good stuff. What do I like about the World War II game? Other than the setting, which I adore the World War II setting. I think it's one of the most interesting periods of time in human history, even though it was a very bad time of human history and it should be looked down upon. What went along in World War II was so interesting. You had like the Nazis looking for like national treasures and mythology. You had like the Aryan race like thing coming out. You had weapons turning the corner and becoming what we know today, modernized weapons. You had war tactics from the ancient Romans used. You had new war tactics. You had people banding together. It was such an interesting time, and it's a wonderful thing to learn about. If you go from like The Children of the Sun, which was a movie about Manchurian China and the Japanese military, all the way to like, the Nazis, looking for like the North Pole. There's literally, we've recently found a secret Nazi base in the North Pole. It was actually a base designed around nothing but hunting treasure. So the time period itself is something I really adore. It's wonderful, it's interesting, and it's something that I feel like most first-person shooters should center around, strictly because it was the last time our entire world was at war. Granted, a lot of people want me to review this or do this video because my favorite Call of Duty actually is World at War, which at the time when it was released was not a universally panned or liked Call of Duty. Everybody was still on the Call of Duty 4 train, and with the release of the Call of Duty 4 Remastered, hopefully a lot of people realized how shitty that game was. I didn't like Call of Duty 4 when it first came out. The Remaster is a worse version of that Call of Duty, and I think a lot of people are seeing it now. Treyarch did such a good job, and you can go on PKA, you can go back in my videos, you'll find time and time again, Treyarch was the better company, even before it was not synonymous with Treyarch being the best Call of Duty company. They took what they had with COD 4 and they made a much better product. And it's a product to this day I wish I could still enjoy. But granted, nostalgia only goes so far. World at War has its flaws, and it had its flaws. You had the MP40 that was overpowered. You had weapons that had no business being balanced the way they were balanced, such as the M1 Garand. You had MP40 again. You had submachine guns that carried more ammunition than the light machine guns in the game itself. And then you had the tanks and vehicles, which they're bringing back tanks and vehicles in the next game, which to me isn't a bad thing. I don't know if they're going to bring them back in the same vein as they were in World at War, where you could just get into them and drive them around in certain maps played with them. But the added element of vehicles never really scared me away. I know that kind of bothers some people, and that was one of the complaints that World at War had, was the vehicles got annoying because people would sit there and drive them, but they were easy to take out. If you took the initiative to take them out, they were easy to take out. They're by no means the heavy tanks of Battlefield 1. So let's talk about the gameplay and what I enjoyed in that gameplay. I love the score streaks. They did something with the score streaks I would have never thought of. They take strafing runs, which, people, there was a little open line of dialogue. What would be some score streaks that you could use in World War II with like a pick a score streak type thing? And one of the things I said was like Thunderbolt runs. So basically, you had fighter planes that come in and just use machine guns, kind of like Black Ops 2. And that's as far as I thought about it. But they went a step further. They actually added it so you could control what they were shooting at. And you only get maybe 3 or 4 seconds to shoot at anybody. But it's really cool and appealing. And I love how they open it up with the map and everything. It's just so seamless and so immersive. I felt like that was some of the best like choices that you actually could make in that situation. I love the guns. I love how the guns reload. The reload animation on the M1 Garand is top notch. MP40's top notch. I felt like the Thompson was top notch, but we only get to see like pre-made guns, so you only get to see like them in one variety. Whereas the pre-made Thompson they had at this event had the drum magory on it. The MP40 didn't have the dual magazine, which the way the MP40's dual magazine is supposed to work is it's supposed to shoot 2 bullets at one time, one out of each magazine. And like in World at War, it didn't really work that way. In World at War, it was just basically an extended clip. What else did I enjoy about this game in particular? Well, I noticed Hutch was playing on a map. It was a snow map. It had like a cabin. And he was playing Domination, and I really enjoyed the layout of the map. The map was very thought-provoking. And I think a lot of people are going to overlook this. But if you look at the map, it's a somewhat straight-line triangle map. What that means is like, generally in Call of Duty, domination maps come in 2 varieties. Straight line where the flags go boop, 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 and you could draw a straight line all the way to them. Or they'll have triangle maps. Triangle maps where basically you had the flags will make a triangle. Well, this map was a little bit mixture of both. You had a triangle formation, but it was a very skinny triangle. But they were also somewhat in a straight line. And they played around with the idea of taking it and making it so that the flank route was super hard to get around, so it kind of like bottlenecked you into going toward the flags. It almost seemed like the map design itself was forcing you to play the objective. I don't know how that's going to play out. I've never played it. Word is on the street, which the street would be being the people videos who I watched, says that everybody enjoyed the game, and I feel like this is a subliminal way of forcing people to enjoy the game by forcing more action and more engagements. Because the way the map's designed is you have a and a C flag that sit just outside of a cabin and a bunker, and then you have a B flag which has little clipping spots all the way around it, but it's also like a gigantic, fuck me zone for a grenade. So like you have people that can sit up there and have the advantage of people coming to do either to get the flag or attack the flag. Whoever's on the flag has the gun advantage, but they could easily be naded off because there's a wall that you could there's a wall that you could bounce a grenade off, land it perfectly on the B flag, and it's right in a little blast radius, and the blast radius is probably enough to kill anybody in that situation. And I felt like that's a really neat way to do it. And if people get tired of doing that engagement where it's like grenade to middle flag, setting it up, they are going to try the flank route. Well, the flank route down the middle of the map has 2 massive clipping spots. It has barricades, machine guns on those barricades, has a bunker and a building, and people could easily overwatch the entire center of the map and not have to move very much and pick people off that are trying to flank. And like you have to either win the post up PowerPoint fight, or you have to flank around. And they left the flank on the PowerPoints to the right. There's like a little cave section that you can go through, and in that cave section itself could have close quarters combats like submachine guns, shotguns, things like that could get around behind those PowerPoints and have that fight. So it's going to be tough to hold, but it's also going to be easy to hold at the same time. It all depends on how well your team's working together. And I feel like the map itself was very well designed. At least that map that I saw, and that's the one I know the most of because I've seen it in 2 or 3 people's different videos. Can't really comment on the other maps. I don't know its name, but I really enjoyed that map design, and I hope that map design goes to other places. Other things I noticed in the maps themselves that I really enjoyed, they have a lot of 90-degree angles. They have a lot of blind corners, and the maps themselves don't look like Infinite Warfare maps that have like 15 entrances to every way. It just seems like the map is designed to like flow. It's like they had flow in mind when they're actually designing the maps. And like these are some of the things I enjoyed about the game. I think the game looks good. I think it looks smooth. I love the art style that it took. And I think it's a step in the right direction for Call of Duty as a whole. What are some of the dislikes? And let me go ahead and say this right out the top. I tried my hardest, and this might be skeptical, but I'm worried that the game is going to be running off the Advanced Warfare engine. I'm worried about that because the Advanced Warfare engine is terrible in the lines of like I don't know this for sure. This is all speculation. But when Advanced Warfare came out, it looked like it was running off a Black Ops 2 build of a Call of Duty engine. Like, it looked like Activision, like, hey, here is the code for the Black Ops 2, one of our best games. Work with this, build you a game, get it started, buddy. And it looks like they took that and they made Advanced Warfare Offer. They added the coding to jump and like back, forth, left, right, and stuff. But they left a lot of things in that shouldn't have been left in, and that might happen again. They left in skill-based matchmaking at the level of Black Ops 2 when it first came out. If anybody remembers Black Ops 2 when it first came out, fucking sweat fest. You couldn't run effectively because of the sweat on the floor. You trip. And Advanced Warfare, his entire lifespan, lived in that little sweat fest bubble. I fought more pro players in Advanced Warfare than any other Call of Duty ever played, and I'm worried that this Call of Duty is going to have that same thing go wrong with it. Number 2, Advanced Warfare's engine was terrible with awareness. You couldn't hear footsteps. You couldn't hear people boost jumping. They added like a thing where you pinged when you boost jump, but like for the most part, it destroyed all awareness. And like, I was listening to the gameplay on YouTube, which is kind of hard to basically use your awareness on YouTube. But again, it was hard to hear footsteps. I tried, and I noticed multiple times that like Hutch got snuck up on by with a guy with a submachine gun. And to me, those are buzz kills. I hate being shot in the back, and it's very frustrating, especially if you're a competitive player. Those are the two main complaints I have with the game so far. I'm worried that it's going to have skill-based matchmaking in it, and I'm also worried that there's going to be no usable sound in it. But at the same time, my fears is somewhat alleviated because the directional sound is very good in the game. Like, you can, if somebody throws a grenade behind you and it's like to your southeast, you can tell distinctively that it's from your southeast. If somebody shoots a gun, you can tell what kind of gun it is and almost how far it is based off how the sound of the gun itself. So the directional sound has obviously been worked on from Advanced Warfare, but I'm still worried about the lack of footsteps. But that's my opinion on the trailers and the gameplay that recently got put out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I decided to put over some World at War footage, not the trailer, because I'm not in the click club. I could get a strike for the trailer, so I decided to just use some old gameplay footage here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like button. It's been your boy Wings of Redemption. I'm Outie 5000.